Hey guys, so in this video we will talk about Barcarola, but before that we have to understand what is inspiration and what is impromptu incantation. So let me explain that first before we go into Barcarola's kit. This is a new mechanic, so these are the three new terminology that we need to be familiarized with. First is inspiration, impromptu incantation, and impromptu inspiration. Right, there is inspiration that we gain, and there is the one that will be put into impromptu incantations attack. So I call that impromptu inspiration. So what is inspiration and how do we get inspiration? If you are using character like Barcarola, Voyager with Euphoria, Matilda, and later on perhaps Aleph, they will start off with 3 incantation each. So for example, if you have Barcarola and Voyager in the same party, they will get 6 inspiration. This inspiration at the start of the round will be distributed randomly to your incantation in your spell docs, with the maximum of 1 incantation can have up to 5 inspiration. Right? So if you have 8 incantation and you have 40 inspiration, then each of it will have 5. But this is the ideal case. Most of the time you probably have like less than 10 inspiration, and they will be distributed. Some will have 1, some will have 2, some will have 3. It's all random. Right? So during the next round, during the round after the inspiration has been distributed, now how do you gain more inspiration for the next round? You have to consume Eureka. So Voyager, Barcarola, their incantation will consume 2 Eureka. So if they consume Eureka, then you get 2 Eureka will have 2 inspiration. If you are using like Flutterpage, and Flutterpage will be using a lot of Eureka when you are doing the follow-up attack and when she's contributing her damage into your attacks, then she will consume Eureka, which also contributes to inspiration. So the more inspiration you get, the more it is distributed to your incantation in the start of the next round. So now once the inspiration has been distributed and we are using the incantation actively, let's say there's an incantation and he has 5 inspiration. We use that will contribute to the impromptu incantations attack. So what is impromptu incantation? Here, the previous slides, I show a picture of Tinkerbell because we should look at impromptu incantation as a different entity. So I like to assume that it is like a fairy, right? So you are using all this inspiration and you are contributing to this fairy's attack. Okay, so this fairy, now she will gain the inspiration that is on the incantation. So now you click the incantation and there's 5 and you use it. All this 5 will goes to the fairy, will goes to this impromptu, right? So now impromptu, the more inspiration that impromptu has, the more damage it will deal. So impromptu's damage is 200% mental damage plus 15% times impromptu's inspiration. So if you have like 10 inspiration, which means at that round when impromptu attacks, it will deal 350% mental damage instead of just 200%. And please do not get confused with the inspiration we gain this round due to consuming Eureka. That is a separate thing, because you consume Eureka, you get the inspiration, and next round the inspiration will be distributed. Now you are using the distributed inspiration, and this inspiration will go on to impromptu's attack, and the higher it is, the higher impromptu attack, right? So they are 2 separate things, but basically they are linked. Okay, all in all, it's just to make impromptu effect stronger and more frequent. So what happens is that by default, impromptu will attack once. But if you have a certain inspiration stack, for example, if you have 3 stacks that you have basically put onto impromptu, then it will deal another attack. So now impromptu will deal 2 attack, both at 200% plus whatever inspiration stack that impromptu has. At 6 stacks, you will do additional 2. So now impromptu will do 3 attacks. At 12, it will do 3 plus 1, so that's 4. And then at 20 stacks, it will do 5 plus 1, so 6 attacks. And if you have exactly 20 stacks, then Impromptu will do 500% mental damage and attack for 6 times. Now, how is Impromptu's damage calculated? We know that every character has their own stats and their damage is based on their stats. How about Impromptu's? Okay, Impromptu basically take the average of all your units, and there will be the average attack, average crit damage, average damage dealt, average incantation might, and everything, and that will contribute to Impromptu's attack. Okay, so in this case, even your support unit, you want them to have high attack, high crit damage, or else they will bring down the overall stats of Impromptu, and Impromptu will deal lesser damage. Okay, which is why characters like Tooth Fairy does make sense in the team. That's because Tooth Fairy, you want to go for attack, crit, and crit damage as well, because her healing skills with that. Lopera is also a very good choice, but I never really see anyone using Lopera with this team. I will have to try it out myself. But I think Lopera is suitable because she is also very AP friendly, and she provides a lot of crit to the entire party, and that's what we want, right? We do not want to bring support that is single target like Villa, because Villa supports only on one unit, which means it will be averaged out. So you will have overall lesser crit and crit damage for Impromptu. Whereas if you have like Mercuria's buff is going to buff the entire party, so you have 20% across the board, which will then be contributed to Impromptu as well. However, I'm not too sure about damage dealt and incantation might. We need to further check this out when she's released. But overall, Impromptu is not an extra action. That's why I say assume Impromptu as a different entity, and whatever it deals is just an incantation. It's not an extra action by any of our characters, right? It is not Barcarola's attack, it is not Voyager's attack. And one more thing, just for your information, Impromptu's attack does not contribute to Gust stack if you are using Flutter Page. So general gameplay for Impromptu is to generate inspiration by consuming Eureka, and then use your incantation to stack up Impromptu's inspiration, and then Impromptu's attack. And this is where all the damage will come from. Now, what's the problem with this team? The whole inspiration and Impromptu mechanics is random, right? So where does the inspiration will be distributed to which incantation? We do not know. Sometimes it can just drop into certain incantation like Tooth Fairy healing, and we don't even need to use healing this round, and suddenly that healing has 5 stacks of inspiration and we don't want to use it, right? So that's where sometimes it forces you to use incantation that you don't want to. So this is the problem that this system has. However, if there is more inspiration that you can generate to the point that you can max out all the inspiration, that actually reduces the inconsistency of the team, which I believe in the future, Aleph coming in will solve this problem. Apart from that, having an extra AP will also solve this problem because you can use more incantation. So sometimes you can waste that 1 AP because you have extra AP anyway to use the incantation that you don't want to. And now that we have understand what is inspiration and what is Impromptu, now we talk about Barcarola's kit. Her kit is actually very simple once you understand the mechanic of inspiration, because she's basically just adding up to whatever that to make inspiration hit harder, right? She is the buffer for Impromptu. The whole idea is to make Impromptu attack as much as possible and as hard as possible. That is Barcarola's role. So first of all, her ultimate is a 1 target buff. Increase the duration of quartet by 1 round, causes the target ally and Barcarola to enter quartet. So don't click on her because she will automatically enter quartet when she uses her ultimate on someone else. So you use on someone else, then she gets it, right? And this is up to 5 rounds, which is really long. And if they are already in quartet, the duration increased by 5 rounds, which means the second time you use her ultimate, you want to click on another unit, because the original unit, that the first one that you click on, their quartet will be renewed, will be refreshed, the duration. So when you use it on the other unit, and then you use it again, you use it on the other unit. So the more characters that has quartet, it will actually contribute to her incantation, and that makes Impromptu even better. Then on top of that, it increases the Eureka for all allies +3, Moxie +1, and this rounds Impromptu Incantation Inspiration +8. That Moxie is on herself, so when she's using ultimate, she get back 1 Moxie. And this round inspiration, Impromptu's inspiration +8. So let's say you are at 12 stacks of inspiration for Impromptu. You use this ultimate, it will +8. So now you get 20 stack of Impromptu. So it helps to boost, which means you don't have to accumulate like over 20 stack of inspiration this round, but you just need 12. Then the next round when you use the ultimate, Impromptu will get 20. As for quartet buff, it increased the attack of your unit by 300. Basically, if all have it, everyone increased by 300, Impromptu will also increase by 300. And at the start of round, attack is increased by 5 times distributed inspiration. So if you have 10 inspiration, the attack is further increased by 5% per stack, and which is updated at the start of each turn. And for each ally in quartet, then Barcarola's attack increases by 15%. And after casting an attack incantation, so you have to be attack incantation. If you're using a buff, using a heal, it will not do this. But if you're using an attack, then Impromptu inspiration will increase. At the same time, it will consume your allies' Eureka, and means you will get more inspiration for the next round. Okay, so if you're using attack incantation, let's say Barcarola's, she already naturally consumed 2 Eureka, so there's 2 stacks of inspiration. Now your ally will consume 1 each, so means you can get up to 5 inspiration per use of attack. But that is for the next round, okay? As for her S1, it consumes 2 Eureka, which is 2 inspiration, and Impromptu will attack 1 additional time. So I mentioned just now, if you're at 20 stacks, Impromptu will do 6. With this, Impromptu will do 7. Okay, and if you have more than 3 characters having quartet, then you will do 8, additional 1 more. Okay, so basically S1 is to increase the number of attack that Impromptu does. And S2 is to increase the damage of Impromptu Incantation. So same, consume 2 Eureka and increase by 20%. If you have 3 or more characters in quartet, then it increased by another 20%. So 40% in damage dealt for Impromptu. So this is not divided by 4 as in average. This is directly affecting Impromptu. It's not affecting your units, right? It affects Impromptu. For her insight, basically the first one is just typical for anyone having this form of inspiration mechanics, is that when allies consume Eureka, then you get inspiration. Okay, but on top of that, Barcarola prioritizes attack incantation when distributing. So if you have all the inspiration generated by Barcarola, it will mostly go to attack. Okay, attack incantation. And when you enter battle, you get +3 as I mentioned just now, and then max Eureka +1, Eureka +4 at the start of each round, and Eureka +1 after an ally actively casts an attack incantation, so she has more opportunity to consume more to raise inspiration. Basically, this is the whole gimmick. At Insight 3, she further raised the damage dealt by the party, which means it will then affect Impromptu, and it makes Impromptu's attack become Star Afflators, as well as increasing the crit and crit damage for Impromptu. So everything is for Impromptu. As for her portrait, I don't really recommend that you need to get her portrait. It does make Impromptu hit harder, but Impromptu actually, if you play it properly and using the correct team like Voyager, Flutter Page, and later on maybe with Aleph, probably will be doing some crazy damage already. So you don't really need to get her portrait at this point. And for her Psychube, it is a very good Psychube. In fact, if you don't even have her, it's worth investing on this Psychube. Because first of all, when allies consume Eureka, inspiration increases, which means if you equip it on any character with Eureka, automatically you are getting this inspiration mechanic. So you'll be dealing maybe 1 or 2 attack from Impromptu. It's just that Impromptu is not going to hit as hard, but still you get additional attack out of it. And the best here is that For each Eureka consumed by allies, all allies damage dealt increased by 0.6%, stacking up to 20%. So that's 12% maximum at A5. So you are basically, you put this on a buffer and they can buff the whole team by additional 12% damage dealt, which is great, right? Like you put it on Flutterpage, and then Flutterpage is giving even more buff than what she already does. And if the carrier of Flatus is Star, then after taking an action, impromptu attack +1, up to 2 times per round. Okay, so yeah, so if you use both of Flutterpage attack, now impromptu is going to attack additional 2 times. That is pretty huge. So I'm really do recommending that you should build up this Psychube. For anyone, you can put it on a character that is a support and has Eureka. Okay, so in summary, Barcarola ultimate increased stats for party, hence directly increased stat for impromptu. Also increase crit and crit damage for impromptu. Ultimate increases impromptu's inspiration, so it can hit more times and hit harder. Ultimate causes ally to consume Eureka, allowing us to generate more inspiration for the next round. S1 increases number of impromptu's attack, which is really good, and S2 increase impromptu's damage. And after using ultimate at least twice, 3 unit with quartet, the damage output increase. So what you want to do with Barcarola is that first out, you want to quickly get her ultimate up, and then you want to make sure at least 3 unit has quartet. Better if all have quartet. And then after that, you don't have to be using Barcarola incantation that often anymore. All you need to do is maintain that quartet, and since quartet lasts for 5 rounds, you have ample of time to maintain that. But she does need a bit of rounds in order to ramp up. And if we are talking about Barcarola alone, so if you are looking at this, every round we are still able to generate 3 to 4 inspiration, because if you are using her S1 and S2, they consume 2 Eureka each, that's 4 inspiration. And 4 inspiration means 1 additional attack from impromptu, right? So impromptu does 1 additional 1. If Barcarola does another S1, then that's 3. If the quartet is being on 3 party members, then you have 4 attack. That is just considering Barcarola alone. And if impromptu is dealing 260%, having 4 inspiration only, 260%, but it's going to attack 4 times, that is 1040% mental damage per round, which is huge, right? The only problem now is that the damage is random to which enemy we do not know, but that problem can be solved if you have Voyager. But even then, the damage is actually pretty good coming from impromptu. So party wise, I would suggest Barcarola and Voyager should be there, because without Voyager, your damage will be flying everywhere and you might not be able to get the most out of it. Voyager does zoom in and target the character that we want to target. That impromptu will basically fly toward that unit. Okay, so Voyager is very critical here. And for the third slot, we can have Flutterpage for now, or Matilda. Matilda is more of a crit support, not really that critical. I think Flutterpage is more important due to the +1 AP, and also she consumes a lot of Eureka, which means we can have a lot of inspiration. And of course, in the future, Aleph, which also have AP +1, just like Flutterpage, and I believe he will make it more consistent with the inspiration and everything like that. We do not know the numbers yet, but we will find out soon. But I will do another video talking about all this inspiration and how they form a team and solve the problem of impromptu. At the moment, it's more, this video is about Barcarola, so I don't want to go in depth about that. I will do that video in a moment. And for the fourth slot, you do want a sustain. Two Fairy and Lopera seems like a good party member that you can put it in, but Lopera will take a bit of time to ramp up, but once she got her ultimate up, she is very AP friendly and could suit that party. Else, you just go with Two Fairy because she's AP friendly. However, being AP friendly actually doesn't matter here that much, because sometimes the inspiration will just drop onto Two Fairy incantation and you have to use it nonetheless, right? Okay, here also I recommend like Ezra, but Ezra now I think the kid definitely need Euphoria, but he needs Euphoria, but he does have the Eureka gimmick that contributes to inspiration. And of course 6 as well can be a good slot in that team, especially if you don't have the third unit like Flutterpage or Matilda yet. So you can have like Barcarola, Voyager, 6, and maybe Teferi. Alright, so with that, that's all for this video. For me, am I pulling for Barcarola? I might not. I probably will throw 10 to 20 pulls as usual in every banner, but I will probably not go for Barcarola because there are so many units I have to build. Although I do have Voyager, but that also means that in the future, if I want to get a left, then I should get Barcarola. So I'm not too sure yet if I really want to invest on a new team entirely, because now we do have the poison team being strong, we do have the follow attack team being strong, we do have a lot of teams, and yeah, I don't really need it, right? So wish me luck. If I get it in 10 to 20 pulls, that's great. If not, then I might get it maybe when she returns as some purchasable unit or something in special events. Then I will select her. Basically, I'll select her and get her, but other than that, I probably will not get her at this point. Okay, so good luck with those getting her, and yes, do look forward for the next video where I will talk more about the team comp for inspiration and impromptu.